What's up, everybody? Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax for the 2024 Bowman Draft Team Break Guide. Now, these teams are ordered in different tiers, and you could argue some of these tiers as far as whether they're one level above or one level below. But we've got great, we've got good, we've got okay, we've got bad and awful, as you can see here in the quick little visual that I've created, and the rankings are over here to the left. Now, this break guide is just for players with a Bowman First Chrome and a Bowman First Auto. You can see over here players that have a First Chrome have the X and a First Auto have the X. Some players are First Chrome only, and we will you can see them by the graph here. If they have a space missing, that means that that card does not exist. This does not include any type of insert autos. Bowman Draft does not have rookie card autos, so it's basically just the First Chromes and First Chrome autos. I did do my complete autograph checklist breakdown video. I'll put a link to that in the video description if you want to check out my top 25 hitters and top 10 pitchers. But this is just the break guide to show you what players are on each team and who has a First Chrome and a First Chrome auto. So we'll kick this thing off with the Angels, who I do think are great. Christian Moore is probably my favorite player on this checklist, surprisingly, above like Bazana and Nick Kurtz. I do like Christian Moore a lot. I watched a lot of him at Tennessee on the SEC network this spring in baseball. I am kind of a SEC homer. I watch a lot of SEC baseball, being from Louisiana, so he is probably my top number one guy on this checklist. So obviously he got the great for the Angels. He's kind of carrying that team with two pitchers. The P just indicates pitcher. If they don't have a P, they're a position player, because I know the value of pitchers isn't quite as good as position players in any release. The Astros are awful. They've got one pitcher, Parker Smith, at 3.5. And here you can see the rankings for these players as well. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. My Let's Talk Wax ranking system, 1.5 is the highest player on this checklist. I do have a 1 ranking and an elite ranking, elite being an MLB Superstar thing. I'll put the visual up here quick so you guys can take a look, but I'm not going to go through a whole lot of that. It's just my personal opinion. There's no real it's not like my JUGGERNAUT ranking system that's actually stats based. It's just my personal opinion based on watching video stats, doing some video scouting and stuff like that. But on to the A's, of course, we got Nick Kurtz carrying that team, a 1.5. That team is great. Just because of him, we've got 2 4s and a 5 pitcher. The Blue Jays are okay. They've got a bunch of first autos, and do remember that autos are on the right and first chromes are on the left. I'm using a PDF file, not my Excel sheet, so it is kind of hard to tell that. The Blue Jays, okay. The Braves are going to be okay. They do have Cam Caminiti, First Chrome auto, who's a big high school arm. He's probably one of the top pitchers on this checklist. Definitely out of the high school draft class in an organization that develops pitching very well. So Cam Caminiti could be a pretty good chase. I could have maybe bumped the Braves to good based on Caminiti alone, but there's not a whole lot else going on with the Braves in that team. The Brewers are okay. They've got Blake Burke, a big power bat. He's their Let's Talk Wax rank of 2.5, and they've got a couple lower tier pitchers here in the bottom. The Cardinals are awful. They've got a pitcher as their top rankee with a 3.5 rank, Brian Holiday, and Ryan Campos with a rank of 4. Both have First Chrome and autos, though. Now, if you enjoyed this content and you want to help support the channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page. I'll put a link to it in the video description. Over there, you can find my complete 15-page breakdown of the 2024 Bowman Draft Prospect Checklist, including rankings, write-ups, and stats for both hitters and pitchers. You can also access updated breakdowns for every Bowman release since 2019. I also have my 2024 Bowman Draft Team Break Guide uploaded, along with team break guides for all Bowman releases since 2020. Other perks include access to my top 100 Bowman Chrome autos list and my top 100 Bowman Chrome autos under $50 list. You also get access to my JUGGERNAUT ranking system sorted by rank and player for all minor league prospects, which was finalized for the 2024 season, and you get early access to all of my YouTube content, as well as a private Discord server with over 400 members. If you want to help support the channel and unlock lots of exclusive content, I'll put a link to my Patreon page in the video description. The Cubs, Cam Smith is a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2 for me. He kind of carries this team team as well. He's one of my favorite position players in this checklist. He's definitely in my top 5. If you guys want to go check out the videos, as I mentioned before, my top 25 video, that's over in the video description. I'll put a link to that video. You can go watch that and get a complete breakdown of all these guys. They've got 4 position players, but Cam Smith definitely drives the car for the Chicago Cubs. The Arizona Diamondbacks, Ryan Waldschmidt, he's kind of a sleeper. I'm hoping in this release he put up some really good numbers in college. I think there's a lot more upside than what he showed in college, and I think that's what helped get his draft stock up a little bit more pre-draft. J.D. Dix is another guy who's kind of a fringy player, a speed player, but other than those two, I just gave him a rank of good. There are 6 autos, so that kind of carries that team as well. And if a team has a lot of autos, I will increase their ranking, based on the okay, good, awful, great, or whatever. But if you have 6 autos for your team, that's always pretty good. You got a really good chance of pulling an auto. So they're going to be good for me. The Dodgers are bad. They've got Kellen Lindsey. He's a 2.5, but it's the only auto for the Dodgers in that team break. So it's going to be hard to get a lot of cards from the Dodgers. So I did give them a bad. I do think that's kind of fair just because of the lack of autographs. The Giants are okay. They've got James Tibbs, who's a pretty big NCAA bat, coming out of Florida State. If I remember correctly, Dakota Jordan 3.5, both first chrome and autos. The Guardians are great. They're headlined by Bazana, of course, the #1 overall pick. He's got a first chrome and auto. In this release, 3 pitchers and then Jacob Cozart with a 4.5. You still have 4 autos with the Guardians, even if you don't hit a Bazana. So I did give them the great ranking, and they're headlined by one of the top chases in this release as well. The Mariners are awful. They've got 2 pitchers with first chromes only that have aged out at 24 already. In my rankings, they've got Josh Caron, and Ryan Sloan is the top ranking player as a pitcher. The Marlins are bad. They've got 2 pitchers in the top tier as far as the Let's Talk Wax rank goes. Grant Shepardson has no auto. Remember, the autos are on the right over here. And there's just not a whole lot going on there with the position players. And we go into the Mets. Carson Bench is a pretty good player in this release. I probably could have gone with good for the Mets. There are 5 autos here for the Mets, so that's pretty good. Carson Bench a 2.5 and Trey Snyder a 3.5. And a lot of the guys like Dalton Rushing out of 2022 Bowman Draft, I wasn't very high on Rushing coming out of that release, and now he's probably going to be one of the top prospects to make their debut in 2024 or 2025 season. So a lot can change. And these guys with like the 3, the 3.5, they're kind of guys I'm just unsure about. I wouldn't really count them out, but I'm definitely, just kind of on a seesaw with those 3 to 3.5 guys. The guys who are like 4, 5, and 6, I'm not very high on. And the reason I do give certain guys a 3 or 3.5 because they're the guys I talk about in the videos, and after 3.5 and lower, I don't really talk about players anymore. So if I'm kind of on the seesaw with my rankings, and a 3 and 3.5 is what those guys are going to get. But I'm rambling now. The Nationals are bad. Nothing really going on there. Their best card is Seaver King. He's going to carry that team, but they've only got 2 autos, and Randall Diaz is a 4.5. But Seaver King has some upside in that Nationals break. Griff O'Farrell leads the Orioles. There's only 1 auto. He's the only auto, and he's a 3.5. So I did give the Orioles a rank of bad. The Padres are another good organization for pitching, kind of like the Braves. They got Boston Bateman and Cash Mayfield. He has 2.5s in the pitching department. Both have first chrome and auto, so that could always go well. Those guys could always pan out, with good pitching development. Kavaris Tears out of Tennessee is another guy kind of like out of this release. Not my favorite Tennessee player, but he definitely has some power. But I did give the Padres a rank of good. The Phillies are good. They've got Griffin Burkholder, Carson DiMartini, and Dante Nori all ranking above 3.5, and they've also got 6 first chrome autos. Remember, the autos are over here on the right side, and the first chromes are over here on the left. I definitely should have used my Google Sheet instead of my PDF file, but hopefully that's simple enough for you guys to remember the autos are on the right over here. Pirates, we got Connor Griffin. And he is a 2. He does carry this release. There's 2 pitchers and a position player, Eddie Reiner, at number 4. So Connor Griffin carries the Pirates. They get a rank of okay. The Rangers got Dylan Dreiling and Casey Cook. Both, I like Dreiling. He's on the top 25 video. He is a very offensive bat, can play second base, third base, but he's the only player worth chasing on the Rangers. He's a 2.5, so I did give the Rangers bad. The Tampa Bay Rays, Theo Gillen headlines that one as a position player, and Nate Knowles as a pitcher, but he does not have the first auto, so I couldn't find any information on Nate Flewelling. Don't think he's pitched yet. There's really no video. I couldn't find any video of the kid either, so I was kind of hamstrung by Nathan over here, so I didn't give him a Let's Talk Wax rank because I couldn't find anything on that guy. If you know anything about him, be sure to let me know in the comments, or a link to a video where we can see some pitching. That would be fantastic too. The Boston Red Sox, I've got Braden Montgomery. He's going to be a big chase in this release. He's one of the top NCAA bats on this checklist, so I did give them good. They've got 3 autos, 2 pitchers, Peyton Toll and Brandon Neely, both 2.5 and 3.5, so they've got a pretty good chance of maybe cracking the big leagues one day. I gave the Reds a ranking of great because they've got the top arm, and you could argue Chase Burns, Hagen Smith. I prefer, just based on ceiling alone, probably Chase Burns just because of the stuff. But I know Hagen Smith's got almost as good stuff from the left side, but Chase Burns stuff it's pretty impressive. Go watch some video. Go watch some video on him if you're not sure about Chase Burns. But the Reds could be kind of cheap because there's no real position players to kind of carry the team. But like I said, on release, I think Chase Burns is going to be a pretty expensive auto. I'd see his auto maybe going for $50 to $75 as a base auto on release. It could even maybe get close to 100. I know with Paul Skeens doing what he's done this past season, and the outrageous incline of his autographs, I think that could have an impact on future pitching prospects and maybe add a little more value. But we'll have to see what happens with Chase Burns. I'm going to say a $50 to $75 base auto on release. I'm going to stick with that. Maybe not quite 100, but the Rockies are okay. The Rockies are always risky. They are terrible at development, so it's really dicey to invest in any Rockies prospect, period, no matter if they're a sleeper, and that's where I kind of got caught. My early prospecting days were sleeper prospects out of the Rockies organization and trying to, chase them, and they just never get developed. Ezekiel Tovar probably is the one shining star out of that developmental story. But we got the Royals. We got Jack Caglione at number 2. Let's Talk Wax rank of 2, and then we got 4 pitchers. So if you do want to jump into a Royals break and chase Caglione, you are very destined for some pitcher stuff. He is the only position player auto. He does have a first chrome and a first auto, but he carries the Royals by far with 4 pitchers underneath of him. The Tigers are good. They've got Bryce Rayner, and arguably one of the top high school prospects on this checklist. A lot of people are going to be chasing him. He's going to be a pretty expensive auto on release day, so I did give the Tigers good. The Twins have got Billy Amick leading the way, and Kalen Culpepper, 2 position players with some pretty good upside, so I did give the Twins an okay there. The White Sox for me are great, and you can see here Hagen Smith a 1.5 ranking. Caleb Boehmer, now he's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 3. I kind of like him as a sleeper a little bit too. And they've got a lot of guys in the 4 to 4.5 range as far as position players go. They've got actually, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position player autos. So they're not going to be cheap. They're probably going to be one of the more expensive teams, especially with Hagen Smith, at the forefront with them. But don't expect the White Sox to be very cheap, but you do have a very good chance of pulling a position player auto because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. The Yankees are pitcher loaded. They are not going to be a very expensive break. So if you would want to jump into like maybe some of the insert autos and stuff like that and take a look at what the Yankees have as far as insert autos, maybe they got some Dominguez stuff. I'm not really sure. I don't really dive into the insert auto stuff. I don't collect that stuff. I'm a first chrome only collector, but they do have 5 pitchers. So if you jump into the Yankees as far as first chrome and first autos go, you are going to get some pitchers. You're going to get no position players. That's going to wrap this video up. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Lots of exclusive content over there. You can get my full autograph checklist breakdown for 2024 Bowman and all releases. There's lots of stuff over there to keep you guys busy through the offseason and stay organized. A huge shout out to all of my level 3 patrons over on Patreon. You guys rock, and if you want to check out my top 25 video, you should see it over here on the right. Y'all have a great night, and good luck on release. This does release Tuesday, December 4th.